Hi, and welcome to another episode of Planetary Wisdom. And this one is for the approaching new moon in Cancer, which is, of course, the sign that the moon rules. So you might feel a bit loony coming up to this new moon. It's happening on the 10th or the 9th of July, depending on which side of the date line you're on, but you can click the link below to find out the exact time and your location. The dominant element of this approaching new moon is water. Cancer is a water sign. So this is a time for us to really practice non-attachment. If we think about water going down the rock face that is a waterfall, it's continually letting go, practicing non-attachment. And this is how, we can experience emotional situations, be grateful for the lessons, and then let them go with grace, if that's what's needed for, growth. So let's have a look at the personal planets. We have Sun and Moon conjunct, so appearing as if they're next to each other at 18 degrees Cancer. So you might want to look at what you've got in your own birth chart. You can get one free online. There's a few different websites offering that if you know your time, location, and date of birth. So see what you've got happening around the 18-degree mark in Cancer, because whatever's bumping up against that, you might find it particularly challenging. Cancer as a sign, when we have a major transit such as this in the sign of Cancer, it's the sign of home and family. So it really highlights our relationship with where we're living and who we live with, whether that's housemates, whether that's family, whether that's our cat, or maybe your neighbours. But it is around this time of year when we have Sun and Moon in Cancer, the sign of home, that a lot of people relocate or renovate. So there's a chance, like if we think about the symbol for or the image for Cancer, it's the crab who you know is one that sort of tucks in. If it's a sand crab, it likes to kind of know that it's safe and secure, so it can be very alarming for us to feel, oh, I don't have the security of home around us. So it's important to remember that, we carry home within us as a state of being, and that so long as we surround ourselves with people that feel like home, and I don't necessarily mean those that are reminding you of your family of origin and re-wound you, but rather people that are on your heart wavelength, that see you, that get you, that are welcoming, and you can really be yourself around them. So this is what it is to feel at home, and we can really just relax and be our soft and squidgy self. So, if you are uprooting to go and put your roots down, as I am in that process at the moment, really attune to your heart and meditate on feeling at home no matter where you are. Cancer also is the sign of communion, community. So finding strength, support through connection, through inclusion, and that sense of belonging that is a primal need for the inner child. And when we have that need met, our nervous system can really relax, knowing that we're held by something greater than ourselves, so that if we are vulnerable, we've got support. So if you are in the process of relocating, be sure to look at ways that you can connect with local community by attending community events such as circles, community practices. There is a red tent directory on my website if you want to look up to see where the nearest red tent women's circle, trained by someone that's trained with me, in your location. Even if you're staying in the existing location, if you've been a bit of a hermit crab, and this can really undermine our emotional well-being, then this sign calls us out to really connect and feel the joys and support of community, which really enhances our emotional balance and well-being. Positive Cancer adapts to change, whereas negative Cancer tends to live in the past. So the way that we adapt to change is by understanding and aligning with the cycles, particularly understanding that time is cyclic rather than linear. So that means that we know that every ending is also a beginning, so we don't need to resist it, fearing the end. If we're not attuning to the cycles and seeing the patterns, then we tend to get a bit rigid. Like the opposite sign of Cancer, which is Capricorn, Father Time, Kronos, who, despite having the rings around his planet, if not balanced by the opposite sign of Cancer, can really just see time as linear and be worried about running out of time. So particularly around that last full moon, which was in Capricorn, you might have had issues with time coming up. Just ignore my light if you can hear it wavering in the background. This is a good time if you're not already aligning with the cycles, and of course anyone who's following and subscribing to me is, but if you're not in a circle, a practice that aligns with the cycles, this is a really great time to start. Now, Cancer also calls us to not be so task oriented and be more in a state of being rather than doing. So you may feel like not getting out of your dressing gown, spending more time at home, and more unstructured time just being, particularly as we approach this new moon. This opposing energy that we've just come from with the Capricorn moon will lessen as both sun and moon come into the same sign, and we're likely to feel like real homebodies and just want to make comfort food at home. Now, when we stop and go to ground by spending time with ourselves at home, we then feel. So those that are more task oriented and, you know, overdoing often are avoiding their feelings, and being a water sign, Cancer asks us to stop and feel. And through feeling, we can then identify what we need and take better care of ourselves, because Cancer is the caretaker of all the signs. So we have sun and moon in Cancer forming a trine, which is a lovely harmonious aspect to Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces, another sensitive water sign. So this is a very optimal window for accessing spiritual insight, whether that's through automatic writing, meditation, visionary art. I mean, you know the ways that you prefer to commune with the divine, but this is a wonderful time to go in and reflect. And new moon, of course, is the most inward time. So we also will have sun and moon in a weak opposition to Pluto in Capricorn, 7.7 degrees. So we may feel emotionally sensitive if we have a father figure or someone that reminds us of our father opposing our deepest wishes, and that could trigger us emotionally, and we may feel a tad reactive. Familial relationships potentially could explode or erupt, like the Tower card in the tarot, particularly if truths come out that have been repressed or concealed. Alternatively, Cancer is the sign that calls us to individuate from the group mind, often the family of origin, the culture or conditioning of origin that we grew up with. So there could be tensions that happen around this new moon with family, around beliefs and around how we see the world, our paradigm of reality.